LFC Day Trippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello and welcome to the LFC Day Trippers. It is full-time Reds with Kev O'Sullivan. I'm Matt hosting. Finished Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0 at Anfield. Bit of a dire game. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way first. Show today is brought to you by bookmakers.com. If you're into the sports gambling, head on over, check them out, get the best odds on any wagers you're going to put down. If you gamble, gamble responsibly. If you don't, there's other good stuff on the website there for you as well, too. Kev, how was that?
How's that? Yeah, that was proper old school Liverpool against Chelsea. That's what that was. Tight, tense, nervous, and it showed in the first half. There was almost a fear of making mistakes in the first half that was evident in a lot of the passing, a lot of the it was almost like a nervous energy. And the start that Chelsea had, with that disallowed first goal, that put the cat amongst the pigeons and gave Chelsea, a right lift, and it scared the shit out of a few players. But at the same time, it was what that 95 minutes or 90 whatever it was what I expect from Liverpool against Chelsea. It's tight. Their games on knife edges. It's no surprise that there's so many draws between the two sides. Because it's often the case that the odd goal here and there makes a difference. And it's usually a bit of individual quality or a bit of individual brilliance. And it was just missing today.
Yeah, there was a complete lack of individual brilliance, I would say, in that game.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a single player on either team that you could say was head and shoulders above the rest. It was pretty evenly matched, and both of these teams seem like they are in the correct spot in the table. That was a proper mid-table clash.
Yeah, it was one of those, to me, that whatever it was, don't lose. And there's a lot to be said for that. Back-to-back clean sheets is something to build on. People won't see it now because they've just sat through and we haven't really troubled Azpilicueta. So on the other side of the coin is for the majority of the game, we defended pretty well. They caused us a few problems, but in general, overall, we defended pretty well at times. So the midfield was the biggest shock for me. I didn't expect to see that midfield again. Not so quick, not after a quick turnaround, but they had their moments where they were shaky, no doubt. But at the same time, at the start of the second half, when they had a rocket up them and just literally almost like for 20 minutes, they were told just take the shackles off and have a go. The two fullbacks went forward and we created overloads wide and we looked a different side. First half was almost a containment mission, get to halftime 0-0 if you get something great, but be in the game at halftime. It's frustrating to watch at times, but at the same time, when you look at either end of the pitch, Cody Gakpo is still learning his trade. He's getting used to a new league.
Yeah,
Salah is just not on this form of what we're used to, but he has these dips. So, patience has got to be needed with him. It was a clear difference for me when Darwin came on. It was suddenly you have this threat over the top and in behind that we're badly missing. And as much as Harvey Elliott, I think, is technically a really good footballer, he doesn't have the instincts. I think it was McManaman was saying it in commentary, and he was right. He doesn't have the instincts of someone who plays wide on the left. The way we play, the wide left player is always one that gets the ball, cuts inside, allows the overlap on the other side. And his instinct is always to come to check back out because he's naturally left-footed and it's not a position he's used to. There would have been an argument to play Curtis Jones today in that position, to be honest. But not knowing how his fitness is at the minute is another matter. How do you think? I mean, you saw the lineup. Were you surprised at the lineup?
Not overly. On Thursday, I thought that Harvey was going to get the start. I didn't think he was going to start left wing. I think that kind of panned out throughout the game, that he was kind of wasted on the left wing. I would have preferred to see Gakpo down the left, Mo through the middle, and Harvey on the right if we were going to play that way. because it's, we might not know what Harvey Elliott's proper position in this team is, but I think on the evidence of that game, we can say it's probably not left wing.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. Like the midfield, so here the starting 11: Allison, Milner, Ibu, Gomez, Robertson, Keita, Bacedic, Thiago, Harvey, Mo, Gakpo. I was okay with that midfield starting again. I thought they played well. And I thought they played well. I thought they played well in the Wolves game, and I thought they played well in this game. We weren't getting completely overrun in the midfield. Like, it wasn't like the Brighton game where our midfield was absolutely invisible in it.
Opened up, yeah.
Yeah,
it was opened up.
And I was okay. Again, I thought Joe Gomez was going to get the start and came out that way. And, he did well enough.
He had a couple of shaky moments at the start. There was the one where I think it was Havertz got a run inside and just made a bad decision. But overall, there's the things that I like about Gomez, the fact that, when he is a right back, he's well capable of bringing the ball forward and relieving the pressure that way. And his pace bails him out still. So I think he had a good game. Ibu was fine, solid enough. The thing is, the fact that we didn't threaten Aspilicueta, I don't think Alisson had any. He had the one big save that he made. I think it was from a set piece. That was probably Chelsea's biggest strength over us, was our lack of height.
We were very, very poor defending set pieces today.
Yeah,
very poor.
And it's, you look through that starting 11, and right, Gakpo is a big kid. Ibu, Gomez is decent size. From outside of that, there's not much physicality in that 11. And Chelsea are really good in the air, especially Thiago Silva. Badiashile looks another one as well, off the mill from France, another good centre back, strong in the air. But Alisson made that really good save. It was at him, but it was coming back, going. It was coming back from the direction that it came at. Yeah. So he did well to adjust his feet and got a hand on it and got it safe. But other than that, I can't remember too many times that he was under sheer pressure.
No, it's Chelsea seemed to have some issues with their footwear today. There was a lot of slipping going on.
On both sides. The pitch looked slippy.
Havertz got in over the top in the 21st minute, and he squared it to Mason Mount in the box, and he slipped over and fell. And then they got the ball back again, and Mount had it pretty much on the penalty spot, and Milner backed off of him and gave him space. And for some reason, Mount tried to set up Lewis Hall out on the left coming in, and he blasted the ball quite wide. But the first half was pretty dire. I take notes. There's not a lot really to talk about. The one thing that I had was just the fact that we could not win a first ball off of set plays.
Yeah, that's one of their serious strengths, and it's normally one of our strengths as well. Defending that kind of set piece, but at the same time, swap out Fabinho, put Darwin in there with Gakpo, you're suddenly a side who's, on average, a couple of inches taller and stronger and more experienced. And, I think, that's the gamble, I suppose, when you play that kind of 11 that we did. That at set pieces, you could be open to getting hit. And plus, you take Virgil out of there as well. Yeah. It was Virgil missing out of the back line. It's not so much his physical ability, it's his talking and, direction of where people should be and what have you. And I think Chelsea started with 4 centre-backs on the pitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're going to have that kind of superiority in the air.
Yeah. So, we got to halftime 0-0. I wasn't going to say what I said at the Brighton game of, well, we got there 0-0, but it can't get any worse in the second half, because that really came back to bite me badly against Brighton. But you said this before we came on. You may have said it once we started, that we came out of the second half much better.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the notes I put down. It's like, we're better already, much, much better. We got a corner just wasted. We've got so little cutting edge up top. And another game where Mo Salah he got the ball a few times in dangerous areas, and it seems like he's trying to do too much. He's trying to, pull off another amazing move where he walks around their whole team in the box, and it's just not coming off for him at all.
It's not clicking for him at the moment, is it?
No.
But that first 10 minutes of the first half, Chelsea didn't get the ball into our half once for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was sustained wave after wave after wave of pressure. And it was a couple of things that Klopp changed at halftime. The first one, he told the fullbacks to go. Both fullbacks went. And they created overloads wide. The ball went wide. And the focus wasn't through the middle. The focus was out wide in making their players, in making their system become a 5-back, making them become a 5-3-2. And when you do that, the spaces on the pitch are different, and we compress them in. And for a good 10 minutes, we looked like ourselves. But that's the point where you got to capitalize on it. That's the point where you either got to make Kepa feel nerves and have to make some kind of worldly save, or you got to try and score. Yeah. And it was either the final pass, a bounce of the ball, a bit of luck. It just never kind of went with us. And sometimes when you're in this kind of a run of games where you can't buy a win, you can't buy a bit of luck either. So they huffed and puffed, really went for it. Then the changes came for Chelsea. The first change when he brought Hall off for Mudryk, and I thought, okay, let's see what this kid's about. And within 5 minutes, you saw what this kid's about. And within about 6 minutes, Milner was on a yellow card for chopping him down.
Yeah,
and it was like, hello, welcome to the Premier League. But this kid, he's rapid. He's got quick feet. He's got good brain. For someone who's probably only had a couple of training sessions. He's going to be one to watch over the next few years. And
8.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, he looks a serious player. And that's when they made that change, they started to come back in. And that first 5 minutes of seeing him made us change again, because Milner couldn't go forward that much anymore. That isolated Salah out in the right. And from then on, it became a game of tennis again. It was a case of, okay, there's going to be only probably one goal in this. One goal will win it, and who's going to get it?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it didn't feel like there was a goal coming in that game, for us at least. I've now got confidence in our ability to give a goal away out of absolutely nothing. But my God, it did not seem like we had any, I was sitting there watching that game up until Darwin came on, and I couldn't think of how we were going to create a goal.
Yeah, even I suppose when he came on, he did make a difference in the fact I was surprised he went left first and Gakpo stayed central. But to be fair to Gakpo, his hold-up play was pretty good, and his pressing was better. It didn't pay off today, but you could see the angles that he was cutting down. And Jorginho didn't get on the ball at all because he was sitting in on Jorginho, forcing Chelsea to go different ways. But it's way too early to be judging him. I still think his best position is out on the left. And when everyone's back fit, he'll be watching a lot of games. He'll be watching a lot of minutes, because he's not ahead of Diaz. He's not ahead of Nunez. He's not ahead of Salah. Yeah. He's probably not ahead of Jota, but he's a different option. That's what he is at the minute. I mean, he's been forced into this because of the situation the club are in at the minute, that there is nobody else. So it's sink or swim. And I don't think he's going to sink, but I also don't think that we're going to see someone who's flying full of confidence and, bouncing off of everything as well. It's going to take time and patience. And in fairness, the way this season is going, it's going to be a lot of this. It's going to be a lot of these type of games. The one thing that we're consistent at is being inconsistent. Yeah. The back-to-back clean sheets are good, but our chance creation since the World Cup has been poor. We used to create 25, 30 shots a game on a regular basis. I can't imagine what the stats are at the minute, and I'm guessing it's probably, if we had 8, 10 efforts on goal, maybe 1 or 2 on target today.
Maybe it's hard to think.
That's a kind of trait now over the Wolves game was the same. You know, the Wolves game, for all of the fact that we won 1-0, it really was dire going forward. You know, at the back, we looked in shape. And once we went one up, we were 4-1, 4-1. And it was like, what we have, we hold. Today was different. You know, he stuck with the 4-3-3. More often than not, Chelsea didn't do too much harm. But how much of that is because they're in the same kind of rut as we are at the minute, struggling for wins? Who knows? But I think we're in for a few months of this.
Yeah, I would say everybody needs to buckle up and get used to this sort of result and performance coming from us. So we're getting a few of the post-match comments from Klopp coming in. Paul Giovanni sharing these. Klopp saying we can build on this. I mean, we kind of have to. We don't have a whole lot of other options. The two finals last year were different games, but they were hectic in moments as well. Today was 9th versus 10th. We have to build. Got another one here. We won a lot of balls in the first half, but gave them away too quickly. Even Thiago did that, which was unnecessary. Oh, he certainly did. There was one he played that was suicidal pass out from the back. Just not what you expect.
He has that in him, and he did it he did the exact same pass in the second half, and he lofted it.
Yeah,
and he made sure he cleared the man. You know, and it is literally almost like a brain fart.
Yeah.
And it was a similar kind of brain fart that Allison had the other week. You know, it's like 999,000 times out of a million that doesn't happen, but it happens when you're in a shit run and you can't score a goal for fun.
Yeah, and it's this quote here from Klopp, I think, is getting what we're talking about, the improvement in the second half. We showed the boys where Chelsea struggled to defend us in the first half. We just couldn't quite capitalize in the second half. And that seems about right, because they did look a little more in control of the game. The press from the front, I thought, was good for that first 10, 15 minutes of the second half, but just no cutting edge whatsoever. Somebody here had shared our Jonathan with 1.4 XG. I don't know from where.
I think the Gakpo chance would have been a high-scoring XG one, because you know the one where he turns it on his right foot and it's a snapshot with his left.
Yeah,
because he was so close, and in that area of the pitch, you're expected to get it on target, and you know he got it on target, kept and made a routine save.
Yeah, I'd say probably our best chance was in the 5th minute after the let off from the offside goal from the corner, which, I mean, we haven't even really touched upon. But I mean, he was offside. There's no point. You know, he was offside. There's nothing you can do about that. But you know, I think we all collectively lost our fucking marbles there for 20 or 30 seconds until you saw the first replay. But in the 5th minute, Bajcetic played a nice ball over the top to Salah, who ran onto it down the channel, and he just held the ball up enough and waited for Gakpo to get into the box and laid it off nicely to him, and he blasted the ball well over.
Yeah,
I mean,
two of them in the first half. The first one he should have got it on target. The second one he was always leaning back. The same with Trent. Trent had one when he came on in the second half.
Yeah,
and if he could get his knee over the ball
or take a touch,
he'd have buried it. You know, he would have buried it. But he was always leaning back. It was like the ball came to him and he was half leaning back already. Yeah. It's just one of those.
But that was another chance that came from the fact that Darwin Núñez is so quick.
On the pitch.
He's so quick, because that ball's going out. Yeah, I mean, pretty much any other one of our players trying to chase that ball down and it's going out for a goal kick. But he manages to get there, get his foot around the ball, and puts it back into a very dangerous area. And Trent just kind of snatched at it.
I think the best bit of play in the whole game, and it didn't come from us at all, came from Chelsea. It was Darwin was one-on-one with Thiago Silva, and Thiago showed him out wide, and he just cut off the line and said, "Go on, have a go on your left foot." I mean, look, I know it's a Liverpool podcast, I know it's a post-match, but he's so fucking good. He is such a good centre back. When they signed him, I thought they're signing this guy is in for a payday and what have you. You know, he's been around the houses for years and years and years. He's coming to Chelsea for a retirement package.
Yep.
What a player.
Yeah.
You know, it's just his positional sense and his awareness, his spatial awareness, and his leading ability is second to none. And I mean second to none.
Yeah.
You know, and then you bring on Azpilicueta at the end to shore it up. 500 games for Chelsea. And the thing is, Chelsea through the entirety of that second half were doing what Newcastle did. ticking the clock down,
time
wasting left, right, and center. The referee had to have should have added on 7-8 minutes, didn't. So sides will continue to still do it. But I think the reason why Chelsea did it was to build on, to try and frustrate, make us make a rash decision somewhere, and they had the pace to hurt us. So for them, Ziyech was really good. Ziyech came into the game in the second half when Robertson was given more of a license to go forward. But in general, I thought Robertson had a decent enough game without having the end quality with his passing. But he's not alone in that. I mean, 0-0 against Chelsea in the vast majority of seasons you take, because these games throughout the years are always tight, tense, dour affairs. They're never free-flowing games. They're never end-to-end. They're always a horrible watch, and they're usually really tense. And our record against them is pretty good.
Yeah.
But you're going to get games where we just get a draw, and the back-to-back clean sheets, as Klopp said in his post-match, is something to build on. It's something to gain confidence from. The fact that they did have a lot of quality on the pitch, and they only really troubled Alisson once.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure there was a fair number of Liverpool fans that when Trent came onto the pitch, or once Mudryk came onto the pitch, whether it was Milner or Trent playing right back, that were fearing the absolute worst, because Milner doesn't have the pace, and all they talk about with Mudryk is he's just got absolute express pace, and apparently Trent can't defend. But I thought he did well again. I mean, he's one of the few players since the World Cup break that's actually come back and shown an improvement in his form. Yeah. So,
and the worry, well, it's not worry really, but nobody knew about this knock to him. Nobody even bothered to think to ask. Why was Trent? We all assumed that Trent was just rested against Wolves, given the night off. But he's been managing a groin problem for a while by the looks of it. And to be able to come into a game with a forward basically given free license and almost turn around to Ibu and say, look, I trust you and your pace to be able to match him. I'm going forward.
Yep.
And that's what happened. That's what he did. It didn't work out today, but Ibu matched Mudryk for pace. A fresh Mudryk against an Ibu who'd been on the pitch for a good while, and Ibu matched him no problem. So, yeah, I thought he did pretty well overall. But you're really grasping at straws for something to lift you out of a game where you don't get 3 points. But at the same time, a week ago, we were absolutely torn apart. I mean, limb from limb, 3-0. Could have been 6, and whether it's baby steps, small steps, whatever. Today was a marked improvement on that, and that's what you have to do. That midfield three that started today. If you'd have said that midfield is starting against Chelsea 3 months ago, you'd have had a shit fit because the midfield has totally collapsed or they're all out injured. So.
Yeah, it was somebody in the Telegram right after the game said, we lost control of midfield when Naby went off. And I said, boy, there's not many statements that you would have made at the start of the season that people wouldn't have believed was true. And that just, I would
think the changes in games, as the game evolves, the changes that Chelsea made affected the games as much as the changes that we made. We come out of the second half with a different mindset and different ways to target Chelsea. Chelsea adjusted to that with their changes. Then they made changes, we made changes. It became an end-to-win game for the last 10 minutes. Who was going to make the mistake? And both sides had half chances, but nobody on either side were clinical enough. That's what it comes down to, is just being clinical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's both of these teams are in a bit of a state right now. And I mean, they're going about it in polar opposite ways of, Chelsea have 6 new players in this window. It's the 5th game in a row that they've given a debut to a new player. And we seem to be standing pat with exactly what we have, except for Gakpo coming in through the door. And neither of these teams look like they're going to be rocketing up the table anytime soon.
No, I think they're both to me, it looks like both clubs have almost come to the conclusion that look, this season is what it is. If we'll see where the cups take us, but neither club are getting into the top four.
Yeah.
So it's okay. We'll see what Harvey can do. We'll see what Stefan can do over the next 3 months, and we'll evolve their games. Next year, they will be that more experienced, that bit better, and stronger for it. It might just be a case of biting the bullet for some cream down the line. I don't know what else you can do with the league position and the points total that we have. What are you supposed to do with this half of the season? Yeah, you go and try and win every game. Of course you do. That goes without saying. But at the same time, if you're going to mix and match players and try different things, it's not going to work. We're not going to be consistent. So we are where we are with that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, if English football had the draft pick system that they have in North American sports, you'd be seeing people calling for a tank season to try to get a first overall draft pick or something like that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Bajcetic for a second, because, that was the big call coming into the game, was whether or not he was going to get the start. How do you think he did?
I think overall he did fine. He had a couple of shaky moments, like you'd expect from any player in that position where the midfield was a bit chaotic at times. Overall, I thought he was quite good. I think he got a bit. I don't think his body got tired. I think he got mentally tired with his decision making towards just before he got changed. But overall, yeah, a lot to like about his game.
Yeah, he's got that nipping into the tackle thing that Fabinho had when he was at his peak of his powers, where he just seems to be able to stretch his leg around a opponent's body and just get a foot on the ball and cut it out. And like he's really switched on from, ball goes out for a header and, other players are standing there trying to argue that it's for us, but he's already dropping back and picking up a man and his head's on a swivel and everything like that. So I thought it was, in terms of a Premier League debut for 18-year-old, I thought it was pretty good. And I mean, same could be said for Lewis Hall for Chelsea,
he's another good prospect.
Yeah, young kid playing, in one of the 6 positions. That's a tough position for a young kid to play, and I thought he was quite well as well.
Considering he's been playing this is his 3rd or 4th game in a row. He's been playing at wing back.
Yeah,
and in fairness, Stefan came in and he didn't cramp up, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
As said it in the chat there a second ago.
Laszlo?
Yeah, Laszlo said, he didn't cramp. That was my biggest fear for him, the fact that he cramped up against Wolves, and would he be able to be fit and to go again? And he was, and it was a big stage, it is a big stage against Chelsea, and it is a big, your home debut, not surrounded by players that would be in any way near confident, but he always looked assured. He always wanted the ball. Yeah, it didn't work out from time to time, but that's just the nature of the beast. Plus, it's one of those positions on the pitch that doesn't get moments to shine. You're not really going to have a standout moment coming from your number 6. You almost want the game, go and win a game and not notice them too much.
Exactly.
As long as you're not noticing it too much, and you go and get a clean sheet and you get a 1-0 or 2-0, and you don't notice him too much, he's done his job absolutely brilliantly. The fact that we got a clean sheet is good for him. It'll stand him in good stead down the line.
I'm liking this new Jonathan we're getting here with a lot more positivity. If you look at it this way, in the last 6 halves of football, we've only conceded in 1 half. So
yeah, I mean,
there you go, silver lining. I mean,
it's going to be small. It is going to be small nuggets like this until we get our senior forwards back. The one thing that Darwin offers you when he came back on the pitch is that threat to go in behind.
Yeah.
That threat to make the pitch bigger. Just by having him there makes the pitch bigger. And that changes the game. That gives more space to the midfield to work in. Cody Gakpo, and I think he's a talented footballer, he's not blessed with pace. So Chelsea can condense the space. And that gives nobody time. Just physically by having Darwin there creates options. The more you can get him back, bring Bobby Firmino back in, Jota, the more you can bring these players back in, we will be better for it.
Yeah.
But now it's just just get through it. Take points where you can get them, and we got a point against Chelsea at home, 0-0, clean sheet. after last week, you take it.
Yeah, this was a game to me that screamed out for Bobby Firmino. It felt like he would have been really handy. You know, a front line of Nunes, Firmino, and Salah would have been a much different
Oh
proposition.
God,
But
yeah.
ifs and buts and candies and
It's-
nuts, you know.
True.
This little question here, LFC Aaron, what'd you make of the Chelsea fans today? Terrible. George Sefton had to come on the tannoy to tell him to stop. I mean, it's getting to be a broken record with the behavior from some of these fans. Like, it's at some point the FA and the Premier League have to start clamping down on these. Like, the technology's there to identify people and get them banned from stadiums. It's just ridiculous.
I think the tannoy system, the tannoy call went out for something that wasn't audible to the TV, and it was a chant that I hope would have been eradicated from football, and it was directed at Chelsea, and you'd hope to not see that anymore. You could tell the fans were antagonized. I mean, it's becoming a new fad now for away fans to come and sing the British national anthem at Anfield because they know it winds people up. That's the nature of the beast. That's banter. When it crosses the line is when it becomes chants about poverty, and when it becomes chants about homophobia from either side. And it's not right. You don't want to see it. I thought the atmosphere in general today was really, really good for a 12:30 kickoff. When the players gave the fans something to shout about, they did.
Yeah.
We need to see that more. The place was electric for that 10 minutes of the second half, 10, 15 minutes of the second half. It was electric. You just need to see more of that, and the players will feed off that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of the thing you do, man of the match.
For us, well, I think Alisson for the save kept us in it, kept a clean sheet. His distribution was good after what was he's been having a bit of a shaky time of it. You could argue for a few others. I'd give it to Alisson, just on the strength of that. I mean, at the end of the day, that's as important as Alisson as a tap in is for a number 9.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'd give it to Alisson.
I think it's pretty hard sledding to try to pick a man of the match for us today. Maybe Thiago.
Yeah, I thought he's passing. I mean, bar that one brain fart in the first half, his progressive passing was really good.
I'd say Konate, actually. Yeah, I thought Konate did well. You know, kind of took Havertz out of the game in the first half. They didn't really have a whole lot of buildup or anything like that. I mean, Havertz has had a pretty quiet game, with the exception of the chalked off goal for being offside. I think overall man of the match has got to be Thiago Silva, though.
Overall man of the match, 100%.
I agreed with you completely. I thought he was just absolutely fantastic. So,
but the one thing that I'd say about the offside goal, you watch that and you see why you don't have a man on the line. That's why. Thiago should have scored that. And it came off the post. Havertz was offside. But the reason why Havertz is offside is because we didn't have a man on the line. Yep. If you had a man on the line and he was trying to rush out, he'd have been onside. It's the gamble you take. But at the same time, they won the header they won the first ball too easily. And once it comes off the post, as a ricochet, anything could have happened. That could have bounced off anyone and gone in. It just happened. It fell for Havertz and he was off. Yep. But there was a reason why you don't keep the man on the line.
Exactly. So there is. I was looking at the games that are coming up here in the 3:00 slot, and
anything much happening?
I'm not sure what the scores are. I got my phone on the old airplane mode, but I mean, those are some pretty poor games. Who do we got? We got Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Leicester, Brighton, Southampton, Villa, West Ham, Everton, and
there's my bunny. That's the one. Oh, Danny Ings hat trick incoming. I hope he got a start. I hope he plays today. I don't know if he started or not. I have no clue. No idea what's going on with this.
No, Danny Ings is on the bench. That much I did. That much I did see.
Very sure.
What I did see is that Ings is on the bench. So, but yeah, that's a big game for the old Ev down at the bottom of the table there. And
Paul Giovanni's all games so far 0-0.
Yeah. So hopefully there's some goals in the games today. Cause I mean, even Crystal Palace Newcastle doesn't scream like it's going to have a ton of goals in it either. So it could be a pretty goalless day of Premier League action today.
Actually, one quick one there. Brian Brian O'Halloran. I heard Fab had a terrible cameo in the last 10 minutes. He only played one game in the World Cup. His legs have gone. What did you make of Fabinho when he came on?
It wasn't great.
Nope.
I don't think he was horrible. It wasn't the horrific Fabinho performances that we've been seeing this season. He had a couple of times where he got in and kind of nipped the ball away. We seemed to be pressing rather high by the time he came on. We're moving forward with like all 6 players trying to pin them into their end, and it didn't exactly work. But yeah, there's definitely something wrong with Fabinho. And I mean,
I personally think it's purely down to confidence. Either not trusting himself or whatever. I don't know. There was a couple of tackles, 50-50s that he went in for, and he didn't come out in the end of it. Yeah, the one snap, he had the shot at the end of the game, and he had the chance of a shot at the end of the game. But other than that, he didn't do too much either way. He was in the right places for a lot of it. It just, when he went into tackles, didn't come out with the ball.
Yeah. Just before we get out of here, a few more quotes from Klopp. 2 teams who tried really hard to cause problems. We started really well. We started really good into the second half, but we have to extend those spells. The defending was really good. It's a 0-0. It's a clean sheet. We're not even close to dreamland. We have to work really hard, and that is what the boys did today. Yeah, dreamland. I missed 8 league games in 22 years. It's gone really quickly. I'm very lucky I never got the sack and was pretty much always in charge. It's special, and I feel really honored because, of course, today was Klopp's 1,000th game as a manager, which, amazing milestone for him. Not a lot of managers get the opportunity to be in charge for 1,000 games. So
yeah, the fact that he's done that at 3 clubs speaks volumes. I mean, Mainz player, manager, Dortmund, legend. Absolutely adored. Yep. The quotes from the Dortmund CEO at the time: if he knew then what he knows now, he'd have sacked the team before letting Klopp go.
Yep.
And unfortunately for Dortmund, when you're always consistently being robbed by your rival and then told to go and compete against that rival, that has a shelf life. I mean, he came to Liverpool. You look at, he's played more games for anyone else. He's 1 win shy of 250, which will make him the fastest manager to ever get there. He's taken us to either very deep or European finals in almost every year he's been at the club.
Yep.
If he didn't get us to a European final, we've gone deep into it. And we've been competitive in most of the league campaigns that we've been involved under him, bar the first one and this one.
Yeah, 4 out of 6.
Yeah, we've been competitive in all of them. And the ones that we haven't been, we were either building or in the middle of building.
Yeah.
When he's got all the tools that he needs, there's no better bukel, there's no better boy to do what needs to be done. But you have to give him the tools to do the job. And this summer is going to determine what shape the club takes in the next 3 or 4 years.
Yep. It's a big summer. I mean, there's still 10 days left in this window. So it would be lovely to see.
It would be miraculous. It would be miraculous.
Yeah. So, Klopp again, myself and Sir Alex Ferguson never played against each other. We would have had so many arguments. He really respects what we are doing, and I respect what he did. It's nice when people say things like he said, of course, because, Ferguson put out a pretty classy message before the game welcoming Klopp to the 1,000 league or 1,000 game club for league managers. So,
look, Ferguson is one of the best ever to do it. And the fact that, I mean, the one thing I think Klopp could learn from Sir Alex is Ferguson was very good at changing the voices that the players hear. He went through an assistant manager usually every 3 or 4 years. With every recycling of players, he went through an assistant manager. He changed the voices the players hear. He was in the background, literally orchestrating everything, but he changed. You can't go into the same training sessions, hearing the same voice, say the same thing year after year after year after year. You have to change it up. Every 3 or 4 years, you have to change the voice and what the players who've been there a long time are doing. It's probably the one flaw the Jurgen Klopp has is keeping the core of his staff together for so long. I think it would do him the world of good. And look, Pep Lijnders, for all of the stick that he gets over the book and that, he's done pretty well as an assistant manager for us for the last few years. Drop off this year, fine. But in general, he's been pretty good. But it would do, I think it would do Klopp, and I think it would do the club and the players no harm to maybe look at that position in the summer, as well as bringing in new players, is to maybe look at bringing in or promoting an assistant manager to change certain things that the players are hearing on a daily basis, especially the ones who've been there for a really long time.
Steven Gerrard is available.
I did kind of suggest that to Chris while he's on his way back from his flight to Dortmund with Jude Bellingham in his pocket. Maybe knock on the door and say, "Here, look what I brought you."
Yeah. Well, here's another show from Jonathan. We can bring Buvac back.
Why? Why? We won fuck all with him. So why the fuck are we doing? Why would we do that now? I love it. I mean, this is the thing. It happens an awful lot with players as well. Players who don't play for a long time are suddenly really good players when they're out of sight and out of mind for a while. Buvac, for all of this association he's got with Klopp, I think he was largely responsible for the helter-skelter football that we were playing at times. It's no coincidence that when he left, we started and when Coutinho left, we started gaining more control and more possession-based control in games.
Oh, but I thought Buvac was got better behind the whole thing.
Yeah, a throwaway phrase that Klopp used in a press conference once, and the guy's been robbing and living off it for the next however many years.
Well, he's at Dinamo Zagreb or something right now.
So he's in Moscow, or he was in Moscow, I think.
Yeah, he's at one of the Dynamos. I know, because it was a quiz question I made up a couple of quizzes ago of like, where the hell is Željko Buvac these days? And it's like, well,
last I heard, I don't know if it was Lokomotiv Moscow or one of those clubs in Russia, as far as I know. He's a director of football there, as far as I know.
Almost certain it's a Dynamo something or other, because those were all my answers that I had was Dynamo this, Dynamo this, Dynamo this, Dynamo this.
We're going to let these people go and enjoy the rest of their Saturday afternoons.
Yeah, let's all go watch these banging 3:00 games and see if West Ham can get something over the line against the Ev at home. So,
any NFL action this week?
Yeah, I think we got a couple games today and a couple games tomorrow. So let's see here. Yeah, we got the Jaguars and the Chiefs at 9:30 your guys' time this evening, and then Gav Doyle's New York Football Giants against the Philadelphia Eagles, and that kickoff is at 1:15 in the morning for you guys. So
yeah, do you know what? I don't know. I'm gonna watch the Eubanks Paul Smith fight, and if I'm awake long enough, I might watch the UFC.
Yeah.
Look, I haven't watched it. I got to get back into it. Otherwise, me and Luke have absolutely nothing to talk about other than Liverpool. So we need a distraction.
Yeah, you might need the distraction at the current rate that we're going at. So, yeah, it's thanks everybody for joining us on Full Time Reds. Please hit the like button for us. It helps the show out and algorithms and all that jibber jabber YouTube-y sort of stuff. You know, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. You'll never miss a show. Follow the guys on the social medias and whatnot. Bookmakers.com sponsoring the show. Head on over to them if you guys like to have a little punt on some of the games that are going on. Probably get some good odds on the Jaguars to beat the Chiefs, I would say, today, because that's not going to happen. And of course, our charity sponsor, our charity partner that we've worked with for this year so far. You'll find the link in the description to the GoFundMe. 12 ladies from a GAA club in Dublin going to be running the Dublin Marathon, raising money for breast cancer research. It's a cause we can all get behind. So if you can spare a few shekels, head on over to the GoFundMe, donate. Every little bit counts. Share it along to your friends and family. Everybody will have at least a distant connection to the awful disease that is breast cancer. So it shouldn't be too hard for us to hit our fundraising target and help these ladies get on the way and run 26 miles, which is madness.
Lunatics.
Yeah. Anything else before we get out of here, Kev?
No, all good. I'm sure tomorrow night the guys will dissect all of this and go through it step by step. When it's one thing when you watch a game, when you watch it back a second time, and ideally without the commentary, you'll see a different game. But yeah, look, this has been a good therapy session, I think. And when do we play next?
Next weekend?
Is it next weekend? We got a week off now to Brighton.
Let's just see here.
Brighton in the Cup next week.
Liverpool schedule shows us at next Sunday at 1:30 p.m. kickoff against Brighton in the Cup. So
well, between now and then, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a shed load of shows on during the week. So
Yep. The content never stops coming from the LFC Day Trippers, and the best part is it's all free for you guys. All we ask is that if you can donate to our charity partner, and hit that little thumbs up button on there. Give us 5-star reviews on your podcasting platforms and all that goody goodness. So, all right, that's another full-time Reds. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. Certainly wasn't as good as we had all hoped for. See you guys next time.